21, 22, 23. Yeah, I'm running out of straight stretch, guys. I bet you if I had a long straight stretch, this bike would probably go faster than that. That's insane. Hey, what's going on, everyone? So today we're going to be checking out the Zhengbu K6 Electric Bike. This is the 20-inch version of this bike. It has some pretty cool features, but it's really cold out today, guys, so that's why I'm bundled up. So I don't know how much riding I'm going to be able to get in, but the first thing we're going to show you is a hill test, because my son's going to help me out filming that before he gets too cold. And then we are going to do some speed tests to see how fast this bike goes. I think it's supposed to go 20 miles per hour out of the box. I think it goes around 15 and a half, and then there's a way that you're supposed to be able to unlock it. So we're going to see if we can, see what kind of speed we can get out of it, and then probably head back over to my studio to go over some of the specs and features of the bike, because it's pretty cold out here, like I said, guys. So first things first, let's get into this hill test. Whew. All right, guys, so as always, I'm going to start here at the bottom with just throttle and see how far this will pull me up. Now, in the manual, it says this is a 350 watt bike. On Amazon, it says it's 400, and on the motor itself, it says it's 500. So it's somewhere between there. My guess would be that it's 500 watt max. And so far, guys, not too bad. Has decent power. I'm going to start pedaling there because I felt like it was going to start putting a pretty good strain on it. But not too much effort at all. Right up there, very easily with this motor. Now, if you were on a long hill, I believe in the manual somewhere, I'll show a picture of that. It states if you're going up big inclines a lot for like 10 minutes straight or something, that it could overheat and cut the motor out, I think is what it said. I just glanced over the manual real quick, but we're going to start out mid-hill here. And I'm actually in gear 4, so I'm not even in gear 1, which would be the easiest to pedal. But I am in PAS 5, which is the highest it goes, 1 through 5. But let's see how it does here. Just gonna pedal lightly. No problem, right up it. And I'm 160 pounds. Check out the front suspension on this bike, guys. It doesn't have a lockout or a preload adjuster, but there is suspension on the front and there is suspension on the back as well. So full suspension on this bike. Now, it's not the greatest, but you can adjust the rear suspension here by just turning this. You could turn this. You can see the threads down below, but that adjusts your suspension for softness or tightness if you're a heavier rider. But let's go ahead down into gear 1. This will be the easiest to pedal. And right up it. So far, not too bad, guys. For power-wise, I would say probably, my guess would be maybe 500 watt max. Like I said, it's somewhere around 350 to 500. Let's go over and see how fast we can get this bike up to right out of the box. All right, guys, here we go. So we got 5 different levels of assist on this bike, 0 to 5. On 0, it's like a regular bike. You still have your gears over here to shift through like a standard 7-speed bicycle. One thing I noticed is that the plus and minus, to me, seems backwards. The plus is on the left and the negative is on the right, which is somewhat opposite of what I'm used to, I guess. So to increase, you hit the center button here. We're going to go to PAS 1 and we'll see what kind of speed we get out of that. The throttle is limited to your PAS level, so whatever PAS level your bike is in, that's the max speed you'll get out of your throttle as well. So PAS 1 is 7 miles per hour out of the box, and you can see throttle doesn't take it any faster. PAS 2, and this bike is really smooth, guys. The motor is really quiet on it. PAS 2, 9 miles an hour. PAS 3, 11 miles per hour. PAS 4, 13 miles an hour. And PAS 5, is 15 miles an hour. So it's supposed to be about 15 and a half right out of the box, and that seems about accurate. Now, it does say 16.2 on the display, so the display is off slightly. So let's try to unlock this bike and see if we can get it to go any faster than 15 miles per hour. On the Amazon video, what it shows is turn the bike off. It shows to hold the right brake lever in and turn the bike back on, and hold the brake lever for, I think it said somewhere around 10 or 15 seconds. We'll hold it for a while there and see what happens. I didn't see the display do anything different. So let's release the brake lever, turn it off, turn it back on, and we'll see how fast we can go. All right, guys, let's see if we can hit faster than 15 miles an hour. Now I'm just gonna go right to the PAS5 here. No point in going back through all the other ones. Oh yeah, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. Holy cow, guys, that's even faster than what they say. They said you can unlock it to 20, and it's definitely faster than 20. I ran out of straight stretch there. 21, 22, 23. Yeah, I'm running out of straight stretch, guys. I bet you if I had a long straight stretch, this bike would probably go faster than that. That's insane. Guys, that's impressive. 24 miles per hour on this little bike. Now keep in mind, if you do unlock this, 20 miles per hour is the legal limit in most of the places in the United States for a Class 2 e-bike. But 24 miles an hour on this little thing, that's crazy. I'm glad it lives up to what they say it can do, because the past few bikes I've reviewed said they went 31, 32 miles per hour. One said 26 to 27, and I couldn't get them to unlock and hit those speeds. But this one definitely lives up to what they say at 20 miles per hour, actually 24. So very impressed with the speed out of this little 20-inch bike. That's crazy. So let's go ahead on a ride, guys. I'm not cold enough yet to where I have to quit, so I'm going to take you on a little ride just to show you, if you were thinking about purchasing this bike, basically what you can expect going out on the road, and a few up and downs, a few hills, and we'll see how long I can last till I get too cold. Whew. Throttle only, 20 miles an hour. This is going uphill slightly. All right, guys, so let's try to go up this dirt hill here that I went up with the ratting on my last test. Let's see if we can make it up. Whoa. Spun out a little bit there at the top, guys. So I did make it. It was a little bit hard to pedal at the top, but that's because I hit some mud there. But I was pedaling pretty good to make it up that. And right out of the box, guys, these brakes were pretty good. I did do a little bit of slight adjustments and wipe the rotors off with rubbing alcohol. This bike is sitting on a set of 160 millimeter rotors, and they are Wuxing branded brakes. But no squeaks, no squills, no problems with the brakes. Seem to stop pretty good. Actually very quiet. All right, guys, so I'm just gonna stay in pedal assist 5, going uphill here now, and this is probably about what they recommend, between 9 and 15 degrees going up these hills here. Not really steep, but they are consistently pretty much uphill, except for this little bit that goes down here after this little crest. And there's 19, 20. So yeah, anything after 20 miles an hour, you're not gonna wanna pedal to try to keep up with it, to put pressure on the pedals. But you could just ghost pedal. Wow, guys, 27, 26, 27, hitting that downhill stretch right there, guys. And I didn't even hear the motor cut out. So that's pretty awesome. Now, you can't expect those speeds going uphill like this here, but we'll see what we can maintain. And it's a pretty cold day here, guys. It's like 30-some degrees. Started out with a full battery. It's showing half right now, but that's because I'm on a I have a load on the bike. One thing that's nice in this display, you could toggle through and actually read your voltage as well. It's not just the sidebars here that show you your battery level, but you can actually see the voltage. So right now I'm showing 47.2 volts, but that's probably because there's a load on it. When I stop pedaling, it'll probably go up. So still a little bit of incline here, but pretty much levels off. Just ghost pedaling right now, put no effort at all in. Let's just do some throttle. And I think what's really gonna put it through the test is when I go back up that hill where I was testing out the brakes coming down. Because by the time I get back down there, the motor should have a pretty good workout from going up this for this mile or so, whatever it was. I don't think it's quite a mile. I'll have to actually clock that one of these days, because I always say about a mile, but I actually never really clocked it. So 16, 15, 14. So far, guys, this bike's doing pretty good. I'm actually pretty impressed with the performance of it so far, especially the speed out of this little bike. That's crazy. I know I keep saying that, but I'm very impressed. Look, free bike, Huffy. So if you don't want to spend $1,050 on one of these with their current coupon code, you can get a Huffy for free. That's one thing I wanted to mention, guys. They did send me this bike for testing and review, but as always, guys, I'm showing you a good test here. Let's hit this gravel, try out the suspension a little bit. Actually pretty comfy, not bad. You can hear that front suspension a little bit rattling when you're hitting bumps. It does rattle a little bit on the front, but I gotta tell you guys, I'm pretty impressed with how comfortable it is. It really takes out a lot of the impact, even though that suspension's cheap. We're gonna turn around here. I'm not gonna go all the way down there, but front suspension is a little noisy because when it basically decompresses, you can hear it kind of hits and makes a little bit of a bang. So that's when it decompresses, when it comes out. So it goes down, and then when it comes back up and hits, it makes that little bit of a banging sound. Would have been nice if they could put some kind of bumper or rubber bumper or something in there to kind of prevent that noise, because that would probably get a little bit annoying on a long bumpy ride. All right, so far so good. Let's go back down this hill and head back up the one going back towards my house. All right, guys, going up that hill wasn't too bad, but coming down, the wind chill factor is pretty rough. Maybe I shouldn't have unlocked this bike. And check out the back brake light, guys. It does have a pretty nice light on the back that gets pretty bright when you hit the brake lever. I should turn on the front light here. And to do that, you hold the up button down. And now the front light's on. I didn't test it at night, but just during the day, it looks pretty bright. There's the tail light, and there's the brake light. So tail light, brake light. And we're back to this hill. So let's see how we can do it going up this hill. I think I'm just gonna stay in 7th gear for now to see how it does. Whew, my arm's getting tired. When this GoPro is about 5 feet from the handle, hanging way out, it gets a little bit heavy. I'm gonna downshift a little bit here, guys, to help it out. But this hill is fairly steep here, so I'm going up it one-handed, no problem. And I know I got the seat too low, guys, but that's a little bit easier for me to record and for you guys to actually see on this GoPro the display and the phone speed. So that's why I have everything down, but you can adjust these handlebars up a good bit, and you can also adjust the seat up as well. So one-handed here, guys, right up that hill, no problem. Didn't feel the motor cut yet. So far, no problem. Oh yeah, another thing. Got a nice little horn there, guys. All right, guys, so let's take a look at some of the specs and features of this bike. So starting up here at the handlebars, you have a set of hard rubber grips. Now these are ergonomic, but they are hard, just like the electrics and a lot of my other bikes. On the display here, you have a nice little digital display that tells you your miles per hour, your pedal assist modes, your battery level on the right hand side, and like I said, you could toggle through and actually get your battery voltage. That's really nice that they include that, so you could tell exactly how much juice is left in your battery. This current trip, since I turned this back on, was 3.9 miles. I reset this when I turned the bike back on after I took a little break, and it lines up almost perfect. So really nice to see that their odometer matches. Not quite, I think the speed was off a little bit, but the odometer reads right. Now when you shut the bike off and turn it back on, the trip meter is going to reset itself. You can see right here, if you shut it off and turn it back on, it does not hold that trip meter. It resets it to 0. That would have been a nice feature for them to keep that set, and then you have to reset it yourself, but a lot of bikes are that way. So let's turn the headlight back on. You hold the plus button to do that. This bike does have a walk mode. If you hold the negative button down, it will start to move. On the center of the handlebars, it has a quick clamp for you to roll your handlebars to suit your needs for adjustability there, which is nice to see. And then you do have your adjustment in the center for raising your handlebars up and down. So you're only going to get about that much adjustment out of them until your cables are tight. So not a super amount of adjustment. I would say there's maybe 5 to 6 inches there. Over here on the right hand side, we have a half grip twist throttle. I always like these kind of throttles on my bikes. Have a horn button below that. We have the Shimano 7-speed shifter, which leads down to the 14 to 28 index freewheel. I'm not sure what brand that is. It is not Shimano. And we have a Shimano SIS, just an entry-level derailleur there, but it works pretty well. I was a little concerned about this being bent up when I received the box, because this was all hanging out of the box and the box was banged up a little bit in shipping, but there was no issues at all. The derailleur wasn't bent or anything. The derailleur guard, that is nice that they include a derailleur guard on here. My last bike I got did not have that. Coming up the chain, we have a 46 tooth chain ring in the front. Now there is only a single-sided chain ring guard on the front here, so you do have a possibility of the chain coming off on the inside. That would have been nice if they included a double-sided chain ring guard there, but there is one on the outside to protect your pants from getting dirty from the chain. We have a set of plastic folding pedals. That's nice for portability there. They seem okay. I mean, they're pretty grippy, but they are plastic. And as I said earlier, this bike is using a set of Wuxing brakes. It comes down to a set of Z-Star calipers, and it has 160 millimeter rotors on both the front and the rear. For power, this bike's using a 48 volt 10 amp hour battery that's inside the frame here. To remove this battery, you fold the bike, put the key in the back side of the battery, unlock it out of the frame, and the battery slides right out of the frame. That battery is powering a 48 volt, what they say is a 400 watt motor, but like I said, it's anywhere between 350 to 500. It is stamped 500 watt right on the motor. I would say that's probably the peak. And it has a nice set of mag wheels on both the front and the rear, so you don't have to worry about adjusting spokes or spokes getting loose over time. For the suspension, like I said, it's just a cheap suspension, no lockout and no adjustment on the front. On the rear, there is some adjustment by turning this, like I showed you earlier in the video. Now the seat is a little bit hard. It's not the softest seat, but this rear suspension does take out a pretty good amount of blows from all those little bumps. So that's pretty nice that that's there. I was wondering how good that would work. It's not going to be super smooth, but it definitely helps out a lot versus not having any suspension at all. So you have adjustability here on your seat. Now your seat post does come down and come through here, so you don't get a super long seat post because it would hit where the frame flexes there for your suspension. But you can adjust it up to that height there if you needed to, which is pretty nice. So it can accommodate different size riders. That's actually too high for me right there, and I'm just under 5'8". Now to fold this bike up, I was wondering how this joint was going to be, how secure it was going to be. There is no issues at all with this joint. It's really nice and tight, no play there at all. To fold this bike, you just unloosen this screw on the bottom, and it releases this plate. It pulls it down, and then you can fold the bike. Pretty decent locking system there, different than I've ever seen before. Like I said, it seems to be okay as of now. I haven't gotten a lot of ride time on the bike yet, but so far it seems to be working pretty well. One thing I noticed about the bike, when it is folded in half, it does not sit right. You can't get it to sit on this bracket here and for it to stand up straight, because with the front suspension, it makes the bike sit a little bit, the front wheel's down further than the back wheel, so it sits a little bit funny and doesn't sit right when it's folded. I don't know what they would have needed to do to fix that issue, but I really don't like the way it sits when it's folded. They need to work on that somehow and maybe make some kind of attachment or something to go on the back wheel or something when it's folded so it sits flush. I don't know. You could probably prop something underneath the back wheel to make it sit right, but something definitely to keep in mind when you're folding this bike. And also, when the bike is folded, when the front comes around, they do give you a little bumper here, not to scratch this. However, that's in the wrong spot. It actually needs to be up here. You can see where there's a little tiny mark there, but this needs to move up here. I'll probably try to peel that off and stick it up here because the front shock hits about right here. Now, if it didn't have shocks on the front and that wheel was down lower, it would definitely fold, sit nicer. And I believe if it didn't have the front shock on, it would hit here. So maybe they make a version that doesn't have front suspension, and that's why that's there. But just one little quirk about having the front suspension is it doesn't sit well when the bike is folded, and it doesn't hit right on the little bumper there. So another thing I like is that it comes with a front and rear fender. Now the front fender is a little bit wobbly. It only attaches with one little spot there. There's nothing in the back to hold it, so it does flop around. The back one seems like it's on there pretty good. It doesn't flop around. And I do like the little rack that's included on the back. A lot of these little suspension bikes don't include a rack, but this one does. I'm glad they do. I'll definitely be putting a bag on there when I'm going on a decent ride, throwing some tools, GoPros, things like that in there, spare batteries, memory cards. So I always like to see racks on my bikes for that reason, but very cute little rack there on the back, guys. I'm glad that they included that and didn't make you pay extra for that. Now, if you had to get to the controller on this bike, I've noticed when I looked up inside the battery compartment, you could see the controller up here in the front of the bike. If you had to get to that controller, there's a plate on the bottom that you can unscrew. You could take this whole plate off where the wires go up in there, and then you could probably access that controller. Now, I don't know what amperage that controller is because I didn't want to take everything apart to get that out of there. And the battery also connects up in there too when you slide the battery up in. All right, guys, so I think I covered most of the main specs and features about the Zhengbu K6 20-inch electric bike. I hope you guys found this useful or helpful, and hopefully you're a little bit more knowledgeable now. If you were looking into purchasing one of these, at least now you will know how it performs, the specs and features of the bike. If you guys are interested in picking one of these up, I'll leave an affiliate link down below, so make sure you guys check that out. If you do use that link, I will make a small commission at no extra cost to you, but that's what helps me out on this channel with getting equipment and things like that. So if you have any questions or comments, please post it down below in the comment section of this video. It really helps my channel out a lot, guys, and helps YouTube recommend my videos more. So please leave a comment, even if it's just a general, hey, what's up, thanks, enjoyed it. Make sure you guys stick around if you like this video and want to see more. And hopefully it's not snowing next week, because I have another bike that I need to make a ride review on, and it's starting to get pretty cold here. So luckily we've been good so far this year, but don't know what next week's gonna bring. Thanks a lot, guys. Appreciate all you.